I understand there's a plan to build some low-income housing, low-income apartments near some affluent neighborhoods, North McAllen. And I understand that this recently led to some tension at City Hall. Joining us on 710 KURV is Commissioner for that nicer portion of McAllen, North McAllen, Scott Crane, joining us on 710 KURV. So Scott, what was the argument? There goes a neighborhood, or what?
No, well, not necessarily. It's all about the density of the model. Essentially, what is being proposed is a development at Auburn, which is also known as 5 Mile Line and 23rd Street. If our memory serves me right, it's 166 units, of which 143 of those units are proposed to be low-income tenants, which by the definition I read was 60% of the local median income. And my issue with it really revolves entirely around the children. I don't think it's fair to segregate low-income. I don't like segregating any subset of the population, but now you're segregating low-income families all into one development, tenement, whatever you want to call it. Granted, these are beautiful facilities.
I was about to say that. Have you seen some of these facilities?
Yeah, they are beautiful.
They look really nice, much nicer than some of these apartments people are actually paying for.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They're as nice as anything we have in McAllen. They've got a clubhouse. They've got gated communities. They've got all kinds of nice amenities. What I don't like is having similarly situated children all living in the same subdivision. I believe that over time, those children become, victims of being stigmatized as living in the Section 8 housing. As beautiful as it is, and I also think those families have a lot of, and they obviously have many more challenges than the neighboring neighborhoods or those that are all zoned in the same schools. And so in my mind, it's just it's unfair. I much prefer a model where you build, let's say, on 8 different locations around town, 8 20-plexes, disperse all of those challenged families into various areas of the community so that they blend in well. I just think it does a horrible disservice to the children.
So the 60% ratio is too high? You want to pare it down to what, 20%?
No, that 60%, that's an income level. That's not an issue.
So how many of the tenants would be low income, would you say? I'm sorry.
It was 143 of the 166 units, 143 units.
Oh, okay, much greater than that.
And so by their calculations, they're estimating, when I say they're, I'm talking about the McAllen Housing Authority, they've calculated 443 children to live in that neighborhood. And
so what would be more fair in your mind, Scott? Would it be paring down to half of that or a third of that or what?
Yeah, maybe 20% of that. Maybe I'd like to see it just dispersed around town in 20 plexes around town. I don't know enough about the Section 8 housing and if there are vouchers available where people can be given a voucher and live in a home, an apartment, et cetera, in various locations around town. I don't know how that works. I have a lot more to learn about it.
McAllen City Commissioner Scott Crane joining us on 710 KURV.
Yeah, Scott, Tim Sullivan here. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Good. Well, I know you've made comments in the past about, the need to live and work and play together in this fine city of McAllen. What better way to exemplify that than with this type of project?
Well, it is a beautiful project. No question about that. I take issue with segregating any subset of the population.
But you're not segregating, you're combining.
Well, you're segregating them from everybody else.
You're saying pooling them. Is that what you're trying to say, Scott? Pooling them.
You're compressing them, you're compacting them into one.
But that's what public housing does, though.
It doesn't have to. It does not have to. I have people that work for me that lived on vouchers their entire childhood with their families, with their single, and most of the time these are single-parent households. These are mothers with children. And you're given vouchers to live in various homes around the community and/or apartments, and so they're not they're, in my mind, they're not so. They don't run the risk of being judged so harshly if you disperse them throughout the community. Section 8 housing, affordable housing.
Well, who's going to judge them?
In my opinion, those neighborhoods in the surrounding areas and the schools they're zoned that know those children live.
Is that what you're hearing from the constituents in that area, Scott?
That's what I believe takes place. That's.
Okay, well, the problem then would be with the neighbors already living there. than the folks who want to be moving in.
And see, that's another thing I take issue with is the lack of transparency. The neighbors aren't notified. I was never notified. Everybody deserves a right to have an opportune time to voice their opinion. And the only mechanism that I see in place for anybody to get notified is once the application is filed, the state office of the Texas Housing and I forget if it's Community Affairs, Urban Affairs, posts, I believe, a 30-day window where you can log online and file your support. Or
where is the project right now, Scott? Is the project moving forward? What's the status?
I don't know. I believe they have a February 28th deadline to turn in their application.
All right. Scott, we'll keep in touch. Scott Crane, City Commissioner for North McAllen, joining us on 710 KURV.